In a world where most people watch movies and then forget about them, these brave heroes join forces to watch them again and then talk about them. Join them in their epic journey as they go back in time, a decade and beyond, to revisit and break down films from a vast array of genres. Do these movies hold up over time? Are they classics? Find out on Retro Movie Roundtable. Starring your hosts, Brian Fry, Chad Robinson, Dustin Melbardis, Lizzie Haynes, and Russell Guest. Coming now to headphones in your ears.
Welcome, all you lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable, where we watch movies and then talk about them. I am your host, Dustin Melbardis, and joining me today is my good friend and co-host, Chad Robinson. Say hello, Chad.
Brr, Dustin. Brr.
Ooh, it's cold out there. And joining me as well is Lizzie Haynes. Say hello.
Hello. Burr over here as well. It is freezing and icy.
It is freezing and icy everywhere. Let's warm up by the fire of love. That's right. It's the love bugs. We're back, babies. How are my darling lovelies tonight? We're all cold. We're all freezing.
Freezing. Yes.
I just got the text.
School.
Yeah.
Oh, you just got that school's canceled?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
School's
So
canceled.
Third day of school. My daughter's ecstatic. That means she gets to have a slumber party with her brothers when there's no school. We're like
That's great.
PJs, messy house, all the things. But we're loving it.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got the sleds going. We do have like a 30-minute limit because I think the wind chill was -24 today. It's
really cold.
It's chilly.
Time to get cozy and listen to a podcast or watch a movie. Lizzie, you're deep in the woods. Why not both? You're deep in the woods. How's the woods for a romantic night in?
You know, actually, it's really nice.
Blair Witch Project.
Yes, we're not camping in the woods. We have a house that's out in the country, but it's so quiet and it's actually really nice. We love it. It's like super dark, and so it can really bring on the cozy vibes. And we also have tons and tons of privacy, which, depending on what kind of movie genre we're watching, but if we're talking romantic movie, then it's not all bad.
Well, this is our Valentine's Day episode. We are your Cupid troupe. We are back again, and I couldn't think of any better way to start our Valentine's Day episode than with a song. And so I am about to jump in to something to really set the tone tonight. Are we all ready? Uh-oh. They've struck up the band. All aboard the train of love. We're going full speed ahead, choo-choo. The caboose is full of broken hearts, and the conductor is a kiss. Train of love, full of broken hearts. I must steer us straight through the train station of love. There are newspapers and train tickets there, but I'm always too heartbroken to read them. It's the train. It's the train. The train of love. I pull the levers, so many levers. The train of love. I'm shoveling coal. It's shaped like hearts on the train of love. Choo, choo, choo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That's all right, boys.
Delightful.
You can turn the band down.
Wow.
And that is no better way to say, let's get ready for a loving episode. Well, almost no better way. Let's go to Russell's cool questions. Okay, guys. What's a movie that puts you to sleep? Or another way to... Russ, what are you doing here? I start with my cool song and then you're going to give me something like this? No, we're going to completely bounce that away. All right, we'll do the first question for Lizzie. We get a chance to talk about our SOs once in a while. Sometimes we get to talk about Aaron. And yes. I think there's a really sweet line in this movie tonight talking about how do you figure out, like, with that person, the person you're supposed to spend your life with, like, if you just got to know me, then you would realize it. And so what I want to ask you is, what is it between you and Aaron that just makes each other laugh?
Oh gosh. I mean, there's many, many things that make us laugh, but honestly, the biggest one, now that we are in a completely different season of life and into parenting, I think we call it happy chaos because there's always something chaotic happening. And the best way to be able to get through the day is to be able to laugh at it. So I think making fun of our kids, honestly, is like we have a really great sense of humor with her. They're all three so incredibly different, but really being able to talk smack about them when they're not around is really
Do you like mock them, like something that they said, being like, what did they
yes,
even
it
mean?
bonds us. It really does. Because it's all like, it's just all not that deep. And we're all trying to get through the day without losing our tempers and making sure that we're just having happy, healthy kids. But sometimes their chaos can like obviously spike our blood pressure. But the best way to always just bring it back down is to laugh about it. So it's been good. It's really made for funny days.
And your kids keep doing stuff to make fun of.
They sure do. They give us a lot to laugh about. They give us a lot to laugh about.
That's great. That's great. Chad, you gonna hit us with a song, or should I ask you a question?
No. Our listeners hate me enough. If I started singing, we would lose whatever we have left. As far as myself and my wife, it's different ends of the spectrum. My wife finds me funny, which is fantastic because she'll also introduce me as like this virus. She's like, you are either going to love him or hate him. You eventually just get inoculated to him, is pretty much what she says. She's like, it's an acquired taste. I'm like, why do you set that up as the expectation? Because people immediately put me in this box of like, I must either love or hate this individual.
Oh.
What? And I must study him. And people look at me. I'm like, please stop doing that. But she thankfully thinks I'm funny. As far as her though, she is a certified genius. Like seriously tested everything. I've known her since junior high. So she is incredibly smart. And I say that to say she has like no street smarts whatsoever.
All right.
And she makes me laugh just by things. There's a song that at one point says, girl, remember what your knees are for. And she's like, she goes praying. And I'm like, oh, that's really sweet. And absolutely not what that is saying.
Oh
so,
boy, Valentine's Day indeed.
So yeah, it's just the
really
sweet.
I like that she thinks that that's what that means. I like that. Her.
I do. Yeah, that's absolutely a good use. But I was like, my love, it's so you don't get pregnant.
There you go.
That's why the line was there.
Yeah.
She goes, I don't like that as much. So it's just the sweetness.
I agree. That's really funny.
Well, I am the third member of the team. I'm the curly or the mo, and I'm the one with no SO. But when I do have a partner, one of my favorite things to do, I like to think of myself kind of along that genius line. I like to think of myself as kind of a know-it-all. And I understand that about myself. So I try to pull back. I really try not to like, well, actually anybody. I like to be, especially in like at like a party or like in a conversation, I like to come in with like a sort of welcoming ignorance to things that like people might be an expert on or they might want to talk about. So I like to be like a good listener. But there are times when with my ex, for instance, is I would really pretend not to know anything about something so simple. And so her quote unquote, her favorite version of me was stupid Dustin, who just could not get the concept of like a roundabout, like driving on a roundabout.
Yes.
And you know, just like being like, well, where do I get off? And like going around the circle maybe one too many times, which brings in a little bit of, oh no, is this guy really this stupid? Whereas of course my partner knows like, no, I'm just kind of trying to get a kick out of somebody. I really like, oh, so there are, you would say there's two political parties in this country, huh? And just like kind of approach things from this ironic sense. And that was one, you know, you kind of look over, and as long as I'm making her laugh, then like that's the whole point. So we all have our little ways to make our SOs happy. Lizzie, what's the last movie that you saw?
Weapons.
Ooh.
Yes.
Perfect Valentine's Day movie. Great for children.
I'm not gonna lie. That movie, I mean, I can't obviously, I can't say a word about the plot without really giving it away. But I will say that it was the first movie in quite some time that I actually thought about consistently for probably at least 2 days after I saw it, where it was just like really like left an imprint on my brain that I could not shake for a little while. It was very good. Someone told me that they hated it, and that always anytime there's a movie that has a Rotten Tomato score like higher than 75 and someone just like absolutely just like cannot stand it, I usually like the contrarian in me is like, well, now I have to watch it. So um and I had an instinct that I would like it just based on who was telling me they didn't like it.
Nice.
So I
Yes.
just because they hate scary movies and like like super spooky movies. So I was like, based on the fact that it's not for you, I think it will really warm my cozy horror heart. It was not cozy, but it was
No.
but it was very good. I really liked it.
I got concerned when you're saying cozy horror. I'm like,
It was not cozy. No.
No,
There was
last
absolutely
scene.
nothing cozy about this movie, but it was very, very suspenseful. And again, it like stayed with me for a while.
Well, speaking of movies that'll stay with you for a while, I've got a 100% Rotten Tomatoes movies for you. And hey, me and Chad are your guys to talk about it. It is a very special non-recommendation of Grave of the Fireflies. Watch it at your own discretion.
You were talking about these memories or a movie that sticks with you for several days. I was looking at Dustin. Same thing. Like we recorded that episode. It is a movie that will stick with you for the rest of your life.
And to use your phrasing, Chad, we are living in a post-Grave of Fireflies world now because there's your time before seeing it and there's your time after seeing it.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm brave enough.
It's really good.
That scares
me. It's 100% fresh.
Yeah, it is really good.
100%.
And it will probably be Russell's lowest rated movie of the year. Again, because I chose it as a dealer's choice.
Yeah. The bias is there, and it is worth every bit of trepidation, audience. Chad, what's the last movie that you saw?
Yeah. Dustin dinged it because he wasn't going to recommend it. And here he is on this podcast.
Right.
Like, yeah. All right.
Yep.
So I'm like Lizzie. I'm watching new horror. So I watched the new 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which had a whole lot more male frontal nudity than I expected. Lots of prosthetic dongs. Pretty wild. And I also really didn't expect a Ralph Fiennes dance number. Ooh. It is just I was thoroughly entertained. It's probably second favorite of the 28 Days, Years franchise. So very, very interesting.
How many are there now?
4.
Oh, okay. Not as many as I
really.
But once they get to an alteration of the title and then colon like subtitle, I thought maybe they're just pumping out a bunch of these. But I guess if this is just the 4th, there's not that many. Yeah. Okay. So when you've said Ray Fiennes' dance number, but you said it in such close proximity to a whole bunch of prosthetics, it made me think that this is a naked dance number. Am I wrong?
You'll just have to check out the movie.
All right, there we go.
I mean, maybe we can throw on that Dustin song, which I was not properly warned for that. Anytime I'm like, please don't play something copyrighted. Please don't play something copyrighted. And then just
you like my song?
I do. I'm going to be singing that in the shower in the morning.
I will say that is based on an English band called 2 + 2 = Love. With the front man Martin Sheffield Lickley. That is a great, lovely song for a great, lovely episode. Speaking of things not so lovely, I watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, and confession time. The movie isn't good, so I just fast forwarded to like the Turtles versus the monsters and the Clan. I didn't even finish it. I was just kind of like, using the remote to be like, I want to see the fun stuff and then put it away. I didn't really want to analyze it or think about the whole thing, and I had a better way to spend 90 minutes. So
they don't actually use weapons in that movie. Speaking of weapons.
Hey, yeah, it all comes back together. Well, we're all gathered together on Valentine's Day. Lizzie, what movie are we covering?
We are covering 1995's While You Were Sleeping.
That's right, starring Sandra Bullock, Bill Pullman, Peter Gallagher, Peter Boyle, Glynis Johns, and Jack Warden. Released in 95, budget of 17 million, grossed 81 million. Big time returns on this. Placed number 15 in the box office, which was just ahead of Congo and just behind Mr. Holland's Opus. The number one movie that year was Toy Story. Gosh, this was long ago. IMDb rating for While You Were Sleeping is only 6.8, and Rotten Tomatoes, our critics give it 81%, our audience at slightly lower at 79%. I wonder if we'll have something to talk about with that. Nominated for a couple of awards, we've got Best Actress, Golden Globe for Sandra Bullock, just nominated. Funniest Actress in a Motion Picture, Golden Globe, that's Sandra Bullock as well. These are all just nominations. We had MTV Movie Awards nominations, which always blows my mind that they look at anything outside of like Jackass or music videos. But best female performance for Sandra Bullock, most desirable female. How is MTV calling their like most desirable? You totally would think it would be like the I Hit That award, but MTV, we don't know what you're doing. And then, of course, our friend Russell, we have to holler out is the AFI distinction. This was nominated for the 2002 AFI list 100 Passions. Of course, they nominated 3,000 movies, and they only picked 100. So we got a lot of nominees there. We are doing our rom-com for our Valentine's Day episode. Lizzie, can you tell me about your expectations with While You Were Sleeping and your background?
Yes, I want to say, I'm an 88 baby, so I would have been 7 when this movie came out. But I didn't actually watch it until I was, I think maybe in college. And it was just, typical college night. You're walking around Walmart and you see those, like, I don't think that they're there anymore, but they made those like $5 movie bins.
They're still there.
Oh, they are. Oh, that's awesome. Where you just like dig through to find something random. And as much as I'm a cozy horror girly, I'm also a rom-com girly. So I saw Sandra Bullock on the front cover. It was like, let's go. And I loved it. I thought it was absolutely adorable. I thought it was so cute. To me, it's like the perfect rom-com in the sense that it has that perfect romantic comedy formula of boy meets girl. There's some kind of like big roller coaster ride of drama, and then and then there's love, and so I loved it. And then I revisited it a couple times, but seeing it this time around, I mean, it felt comforting. It's just a great like cozy movie.
It's not like I'm not asking anybody to like build their Mount Rushmore of, rom-coms, but if Mount Rushmore had 30 heads on it, you might say, what's a recognizable one? While You Were Sleeping. Like everybody nods their head like, "Oh yeah, Notebook."
Yes.
Oh yeah, When Harry Met Sally. Oh yeah, like these are
Totally.
people know this on in the rom-com canon. They know this one. How about you, Chad? What's your background with While You Were Sleeping?
Yeah, I have this weird niche. Lizzie is talking about horror and rom-coms. This is my niche as well. The other half was sort of forced on me. Russell still is appalled at how many of these I've seen. I have seen this somewhere in the 2000s. I don't really remember why or how. I was single. I know that. So I have no excuse. I just saw this movie. This movie, though, as far as change, like, I feel like the Hallmark Channel has diminished all of these. If they don't have a special hook, this is a Hallmark movie. Like, this is a Hallmark movie before the Hallmark movies existed.
That's a good way of putting it. I agree with that.
I did learn, though, like, my Walmart did not pierce ears. There's a throwaway line about ear piercing. It was like, isn't that a Claire's thing? And said, oh, we're going to take you to Walmart on Monday. No idea. Huh. So kudos to this movie for teaching me that Walmart apparently, like, this is what I do while I'm watching a movie, Googling, does Walmart do ear piercings? Or did they ever? 5,000 Walmart stores. So there you go. That is how my opinion of this movie has changed over time.
Fun fact about me is that's how I got my ears pierced. Not at Walmart, But because I got earrings as a Christmas present, and my mom let me turn them back to see that they were like with like true earrings that would require piercings. Yes, and I was so excited. So who knows? My mom, maybe she got that. At the time, I don't know. I'd have to figure out the timing if maybe she watched that and took it from that, or if it was just a happy coincidence. But
Dustin, watch Lizzie's face as I say this story. So my daughter, I took her to an outlet area, and we were looking for something else, and we passed by a Claire's at the outlet. And it was just myself and my daughter. And I looked at my daughter and I said, "Do you want to get your ears pierced?" Just kind of joking with her. She said, "Yep." My wife was not with us. I did not contact my wife until afterwards.
I'm so scared for you.
Yeah, that face. I had no idea that this is like a rite of passage between mother and daughter.
Deal.
Yeah, I had just about every woman that has ever known me just tell me how much of a screw up I was. I probably spent a solid month, and my daughter's ears got infected. So that it just kept coming back up of how much of a moron I am.
Yeah, that's
so.
Wow.
That's really, really bad. I mean, the fact that you recognize it, it's all good. Like everybody makes mistakes. Like one mistake does not a bad parent or spouse make, but yeah, I definitely get why she was pissed.
Oh, the women in my life made it abundantly clear. So yeah, I now understand.
There's got to be like really some scarlet letter on you. Like,
did you know this was a rule, Dustin? Like, I just assumed if the kids.
Of course, I did. I know all the rules, and I follow them all.
I was like, the kid's in the mood. Let's put a gun to her head. What?
No, I didn't know that, but I would have the wherewithal to consult my wife, I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, nowadays, like half the population like pierces their ears like when you're a baby. They like you see like little babies walking around now with pierced ears, and so a lot of people just do it early. So I guess it's not like a thing with fear, but I mean, and like no shade to anybody that does that, but but it can be like a very big rite of passage.
Should be. Any chance any chance that you can try to preserve one of those like old fashioned rules? I like those in general. There's a lot of thing about tradition and about like nostalgia. Like there are things that like I am totally fine with like getting rid of taking walls down. I kind of like that idea, but if there are things that are particular and special, then I like them to preserve a little bit of that.
I'm like that. I'm traditional, for instance, as well in that way. I'm definitely more old school about that.
Well, and there's some stuff where it's like your description of yourself as traditional and 100 other women description of themselves as traditional can be 101 different things. But if you all agree on one, which is, yeah, of course it's important for me and my daughter to get here, to make that choice and make that trip together. Like that's cool that it ties people together. I almost, and this is out of left field. I was working, I was in wedding events for a while, and I was working an event that was a quinceañera, and quinceañeras have a lot of tradition to them and have a lot of ceremony to them. And there was something I had learned that I did not know, which is there's this very particular part of the ceremony where the parents give a doll to the young lady who has just turned 15. And at the end of the ceremony, she gives it back, saying, "Parents, I don't need things for children anymore." And it's so very like, whoa. When I first saw that, I'm like, it's not a lot of these kids are just way too not influenced, but they're way too focused on like who's going to be like my partner during like the little dance, and who are the boys that I have asked to be in the like quinceañera court and all that stuff, and the colors and the money, and there's so much. But the ceremony part of it, I was like, that is so rad. So that's really it was like little traditions and stuff like that. Way to stomp all over it, Chad.
Thank you for just now somehow you've got Latino culture mad at me. I wasn't involved in your quinceañera. That's a cool tradition.
Oh,
I've just learned
it is cool. Yeah. Stomper of traditions, Chad Robinson. We're so glad to have you as part of the Valentine's Day triumvirate.
How did we get here?
Don't know exactly.
Dustin, your expectations with this movie?
Never seen it before. It's a rom-com. I'm on the show for I have no idea why. And and let's jump into our little ad break. We're gonna say a little something from our friends from another show, and then when we come back, we're gonna talk about While You Were Sleeping, and that is gonna be joined by a plot summary from Chad. You won't want to miss it. We'll see you on the other side.
Welcome to the All 80s Movies Podcast.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Jason. And this is the podcast where we talk about the blockbusters, the flops, and everything in between from one of the freshest decades for movies, the 1980s. So whether you're a brain, a jock, a valley girl, or a Jedi, we've got some 80s classics for you.
Do these movies stand the test of time? Are we discovering something new? Is there an 80s movie we're finally watching for the first time?
Join us each week as we dive into the cinematic nostalgia that inspired and influenced a generation. From the hits to the cult classics, we'll discuss our earliest memories, favorite scenes, fun facts, and our not-so-favorite movie moments, too.
It's the All 80s Movies Podcast, now available on all major streaming platforms. Please subscribe and happy listening.
And we are back, and this is your final warning. If you have not seen While You Were Sleeping, you need to pause us, and then you need to go and watch it, and then come right on back, because it is time for Chad to give his plot summary. Take it away.
Gosh, you guys are killing me. Lucy is a lonely transit worker in Chicago, a city that is absolutely dedicated to ruining a good hot dog. Seriously, pickles, hot dogs, disgusting. She falls in love with a handsome stranger who takes a tumble onto the railroad tracks and slips into a coma. Lucy does save his life, but not before making Marvel-esque quips as a train barrels towards them. A misunderstanding at the hospital leads the nurse to declare that Lucy is the stranger's fiancée, and the family excitedly takes Lucy in. The stranger, who we learn is named Peter, has a suspicious brother named Jack who quizzes Lucy constantly. Lucy lucks into most of the answers, finally proving herself by disclosing that Peter only has one testicle, a fact she'd accidentally learned when picking up Peter's things from the office. Jack continues to hang around Lucy in a totally normal way, and even though she's his future sister-in-law, when they're caught under the mistletoe, the family encourages them to kiss. Almost as gross as when Lucy dunked her Oreo in her cat's milk dish.
Gross.
Please don't give milk to cats, folks. It's just not good for them. Stick around on this episode, by the way. There's going to be more cat care coming up. There's a lot of things I want to talk about. This is what I want to talk about. but back to our film. Lucy and Jack take the iciest path possible on their way back home from a party and fall all over each other, and they also fall in love. It's really the only positive thing Ice has done this week. However, things are complicated by Peter waking up and actually proposing for real to Lucy based on the psychotic advice of the family's friend Saul, who knows Lucy isn't who she says she is. Lucy agrees, but later objects at the altar, declares her love for Jack. However, she leaves in disgrace after revealing the whole truth. Back in the transit booth, Lucy sees a diamond ring slip through instead of a coin and is proposed to by Jack. She'll finally get that vacation to Florence she dreamed of and brings up constantly. And a partner for life too, I guess, but mostly that sweet, sweet Florence trip.
That's right, a honeymoon to Florence.
What a loving,
get there.
What a loving review.
I read that
really
like
funny.
Words were new to me, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's actually really funny.
I'm just, I am Twitter-pated by Dustin singing.
No, I think it was more just like you're taking some comedic swings with this plot summary, and I really liked it.
Yeah, that was really funny.
And we're just sort of like, okay, go off, Chad. Yeah. This is a romantic comedy to the definition, as in, like, I think we frequently cover romance movies. I think romance movies are the quote unquote easiest to slip a little comedy in. But this is like, we're talking half and half. There's some very specific, like, rom-com style stuff in this movie. And that's kind of what I want to start with. not just what I want to start with is the way that you said the psychotic advice from Saul, the
That
family
is insane.
friend. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's start there. Chad, what this advice, this family dynamic, this Saul guy who shows up, expand a little bit about this and how it impacts the way that this movie moves forward, and the little social predicament we find ourselves in.
This dude is a family friend. He's known them for ages. And he overhears Lucy in the hospital room very early on in the movie, confessing to everything to an unconscious Peter. And he has this little semi-threatening talk to her on the stoop of, hey, I don't want to see the Callahans get hurt. And she's like, neither do I. He's like, they're good people. He doesn't tell them, hey, this fraudster is in your home, sleeping in your house. Psychotic mistake number one. Psychotic mistake number two, he's like, hey, I'm going to tell him, I'm going to fix it. He doesn't. He goes to Peter, who wakes up and is just like, you have to propose to this girl. Which is, yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, you're a putz. And he makes him feel bad about all his life choices, which he does appear to make bad choices in life, especially Ashley, who's Ashley Bacon. She's terrible. But the whole, like, propose to her, fall in love with her within the next 5 minutes. For a dude that is hooked up to IVs for no reason, you don't get hooked up to. What were those doing? I kept asking that question to my wife as I'm watching that, and she's like, it's saline. I'm like, why do you need saline at this point? He's been up and around. He's in a wedding chapel. There are other people dragging IVs.
Ceremony, they have it.
Yeah. This was like their go-to gag. Insane. This is insanity.
A counterpoint, Lizzie, is the insanity what
she's got
drives
nothing.
this movie?
She's got nothing.
Totally. I mean, well, without the insanity, there is no movie. Because the normal thing to have done would have been to all get into the room, and when they're all deliberating, because the police officer the doctor is trying to kick her out, and the police officer is like, no, she saved his life, and then the nurse is like, she's his fiance, and everybody's also excited. That would have just been the time to just be like, everybody hold it. Mm-hmm. I saved his life. Yes, that's true. But I'm not his fiance. I'm just somebody that saved his life, and now I'm here because I want to check on him, and she would have been on her way. But that's obviously would have made for a short film and at best. So I think without the chaos and without the really terrible decisions and terrible advice, like, we have no movie. So that is really is the foundation on which this movie stands.
I did forget that Saul told her to keep lying to them as well.
Yeah, she totally did. It's like, keep going, see what happens. Everything will be fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. It's like, because everybody's afraid of Elsie's heart. It's like the grandma has heart issues, and so like the idea that she gets emotionally attached to Lucy, and so then that becomes a whole thing as well, of like, because like during her big confession at the end, she's like, Elsie, how's your heart? Everyone's just so worried
and
about
she's
Elsie.
just fine.
Yeah, that was cute.
Like, I'm fine. So it's like everybody's there. Lucy's doing it for selfish reasons, but then also there becomes this also like side concept of not wanting to break the family's heart as well.
And it is an interesting place that she finds herself, is having to keep up with this lie that she didn't technically tell, right?
Yeah,
she's talking to herself about like, I'm gonna marry that man. The nurse is like, ooh, fiance, huh? And this is where I guess what are we looking at, like 5% moment of weakness, where she's like, yeah, at least it gets me into the room. It gets me to the ICU. I wasn't allowed to go back there, but if I say I'm fiance, which she didn't say, but she's leading me. Like, if I walked into the White House and I looked like someone, they're like, oh, we'll take you to the second floor. I'm not going to say, like, I know I'm going to go. Like, so she's allowed to go to this, the place she wants to be, to stare at this man unconscious, and she sees him every day. But like, there's clearly like this infatuation, which then leads into, oh no, I'm caught up in the lie. But Lizzie, it's like you said, like, without this chaos, there's no movie. Do you think that the keeping up with the lie formula, if we were to call this movie formulaic, do you think this generally leads to like successful movies? I think we got something successful out of this.
Yeah, I think it's been done before in other rom-coms as well, where like there's this like My Best Friend's Wedding. We talked about that earlier a little bit ago. That's kind of also one of them where there's this like idea of a lie that's going on, of a like a secret relationship where it, you know, they're actually just friends. They're not really together, but they're there to kind of act as like her boyfriend to build up her confidence.
Right.
There's always, in a lot of these movies, there's usually some kind of deception. And it's all really rooted in this idea of like the main character just like cannot face and handle their own reality. And sometimes it's done with kind of malicious intent. And specifically in My Best Friend's Wedding, I'd say that was an example of one. But in this one, there's a certain purity that Lucy brings to the table that's very earnest and sweet. And you almost kind of feel a little sorry for her because it's like she just gets swept up. She says it so perfectly in her confession scene where she just talks about like how she really fell in love with every single one of them. It wasn't just specifically Peter. It was also like, I fell in love with the idea of becoming a mom, or I became a sister and a daughter and a granddaughter, like all in this moment, not just a fiance. And so you really like, she pulls on your heartstrings a lot. So like, even though it's super chaotic that she's lying, it does work in this movie because you can somehow appreciate and relate to how easy it would be to just slide right into that role.
Like a serial killer.
Yeah,
you watch these shows, Lizzie.
I mean, it could never be me. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm paranoid, like way too much. Like there's no way I wouldn't make it 5 minutes in that room with that family. But you know, I guess I get why Lucy does. I mean, the family's adorable. I understand wanting to be a part of the family.
It's what we need. The audience needs for the lie to be kept up with. We're the only ones that are in on the secret. I've talked about this before. Being in on the secret of the character allows us all to kind of be along for the ride without us having the awkwardness of like having to keep up with the lie. We get to watch somebody else do it. It's tough sometimes.
Yes.
Now, the success of keeping up with the lie, I think, really does have to do with our Lucy character and our actress with Sandra Bullock. I think there's just something about wanting to root for her and wanting her to succeed in this. I think we're given enough of, well, she didn't really lie. And she's just kind of pursuing this because like she's just been making eyes at this guy. Like this has been the sole object of her desire for so long. But I think Sandra Bullock is the one that pulls this off. Chad, do you see this as like the writing surrounding the circumstances, or is Lucy just like written as this lovable root for character?
Oh man, I think Sandra Bullock is irreplaceable here. Like, she is fantastic in these awkward personalities. We covered Miss Congeniality. That's another favorite of mine. I don't know how someone as beautiful as Sandra Bullock can make herself look this kind of mousy, awkward, not confident personality. I don't know how she does that. Because in the back of my mind, she's gorgeous. This is not another teen movie where they put glasses and a ponytail on somebody that's gorgeous. And somehow everyone's like, oh, yeah, she's beautiful now. She plays this character so dorky like that you root for her despite the obvious alarm bells of she is lusting after this dude and says crazy stalker things like, I'm going to marry that guy. She knows nothing other than she says to him, you give up your bus seat every day or your train seat every day. You're a hero to those people. Turns out the dude was like menacing squirrels. So he's not a good guy. You need more background information. Speaking of signs of a serial killer abusing animals, potential serial killer. He's a putt. At least a putz. But yeah. This whole movie is based off of assumptions at every turn. At one point, they just literally hold a can of tuna, and she goes over to his apartment, assuming he has a cat. Mm-hmm. People buy cans of tuna. That's something that's sold. It didn't have like cat or meow mix or anything else.
It did. It said Purina on it. Yeah.
Did it? It did say piranha? I
Yeah,
just saw
yeah.
tuna. So I'm like, this is a wild assumption on her part.
Well, there was a moment I thought to myself that like we're trying to gauge along with Jack at this moment, like how is she going to fail at the ruse? That's kind of our central conflict for maybe 20 full minutes is how is she going to fall through? And she,
Mhm.
through luck, like you said, Chad, manages to get through it and somehow convince the family that, yeah, I do know the guy. And she clearly doesn't. Like she really kind of Elmer Fudd's her way into this. And that's fun, right? But I before I get too far into that, I wanted to ask you, Lizzie, uh, can you share with us a little bit of that, like that that dream gaze of like there is the apple of my eye, there is something my attention is on. I don't know, Chad, maybe I've never had it, maybe you've never had it, but Lizzie, can you at least describe the experience, especially for our young ladies, of like I am calling to mind the classic example of like writing your name with
Yes.
the boy you're interested's last
Oh.
name instead, right?
Yes.
This is a very clearly American cultural thing, but maybe even worldwide. Is like when you are this very particular like teen level infatuated, like
Mhm.
this has to impact over half of our audience in how they see Sandra Bullock's character.
Totally. I think every girl at some point in their life can appreciate, even if it's only when you're at your like super like youngest, in terms of like just starting to discover what it feels like to have a crush versus like being in an adult. I think on some level of that spectrum, you can relate to what it feels like to be just fully infatuated with someone. But I think where it comes from a female perspective is, and I could be like wildly overthinking this, but I think to a certain degree, women are, I think to a certain degree, women just have a little bit more, we live more like thoughtful lives, I think, most of the time than men. At least when I think about.
Absolutely fair. Everybody let her
Yeah.
cook.
What
Yes.
MTV show did Dustin mention earlier?
Especially when I'm thinking about like when I'm comparing myself to my husband, for example, like Aaron is he's analytical. He's a facts guy. Like he's going to ask a lot of questions because he wants to understand something, but he's like he lives in like a black and white world where it's like, okay, there's a concept, I understand it, and I move on. And of course he's, he has like a deep emotional side, but he's not sitting around tossing his feelings around in his mind all day. He's more just kind of moving and completing tasks. Whereas I think the female brain, there's so much of our lives that we're living on the inside of our head, where we're like processing emotions, processing thoughts, feelings, what we have to do, our to-do lists and all of that. And I think that sometimes when you're young and you're naive, that part of your brain that is supposed to be wired to help you be productive sometimes can run away with you, and your imagination can kind of take over that part. And so I think that's true for Lucy, where she's put her sights on Peter. She sees that he's this, very like handsome man. He smiles at her every now and again. And, even one time says, Merry Christmas. He gives us this seat. So, she must be chivalrous because he gives up his seat for people. And so now she has concocted this entire narrative of who Peter is in her mind. And so it's not just about finding this person attractive. It is that she has literally created a Peter person in her head. And
Right.
I think that is something that I think every young girl that's doodling in their name, like half the time you probably haven't even said like more than 10 words to that person. But for whatever reason, you're already like, it's like, they say when it's like you're picking out China patterns, you're already going ahead and you're
Right.
picking out what your wedding invitation is going to look like. It's like women just tend to crave romance, and we will let our imaginations run very wild with us. And I think it's even still now as an adult, sometimes I can catch myself doing it, like with my kids, like seeing what life will be like when they were very little. I would do it imagining when they're their ages that there are now, what life is going to be like when they're in sports and It's just kind of a part of the female experience, I guess.
Well, I believe there's got to be this sort of, I want to call it a slope, or I want to call it an interaction, if not like a correlation, which is, well, the man's clearly very attractive and successful, so he's got to be a great guy.
Yeah. I think so.
And
I think he meets the credentials on paper. Therefore, he must be a good person, and he must be really lovely. And I bet that we have so much in common. And so she has concocted this like Peter person in her mind, when in reality they have absolutely nothing in common. And Peter actually isn't that great of a guy. And but I think that is really what her obsession with Peter has hinged on, is that she has projected all of this onto Peter, and he's like the personification of all of her hopes and dreams of what it would be like to have a partner.
Statistics back that up, though. In studies, like there's been study after study that says, okay, the taller you are to a certain degree, and the better looking you are, and whatever job you may hold will affect how people view your intelligence. Things like that. Taller people are smarter. Better looking people are smarter, which is fascinating because that's just not the world I grew up in. Like, no offense, but I had some very smart friends that were not handsome. Like, that's not my association. I think I had more of the traditional nerdy friends. I have some good looking smart friends as well, but the best looking boys in our school were the jocks. Like, they weren't taking AP classes, so my brain was just trained. So I see these statistics and I'm like, what? Why all of these
it's perception
things?
It's perception, and that is I think maybe we could go off quite a bit on it, I think, but she has this perception of this guy. He must be a Prince Charming across the board. I'm not going to imagine, because my only life with him is imagined, or my only thought of him is imagined. I'm not going to imagine that he has never been faithful to a woman. I'm not going to imagine that he's bashed some squirrels in or whatever. I'm not going to imagine any of that stuff. I'm not going to imagine his anything that could potentially be a detractor. Yeah. Why would you? Let your imagination run wild. Totally. But instead, he is, I think it's an hour 16 when he wakes up, and that's pretty fun. It actually gives us a lot of time, way more time than I thought we would have with an awake Peter. But to fill that time, we have family, and we also have Jack, our Bill Pullman character.
30 minutes to get to him.
It took a while to get to him. I would agree. Well, how does Jack fit into our audience's enjoyment here? I think I know. My experience with Bill Pullman had been heroic. It had not been as an object of affection. How'd you like this portrayal from the Pullman?
Oh, I love it. I think the only other movie I'd seen him in up until the first time watching it was he was the dad in Casper. I think that was like the only other movie I had really watched him in.
Yeah. Speaking of hot Valentine's Day,
I love him in this movie, and to me, they're the perfect representation of like expectations versus reality, in the sense of like, of course they're both handsome, like that's just obvious. They're both attractive men, but Jack kind of like more represents like what it would be like to like have a relationship in the real world versus like a pretend relationship in Lucy's head. Because like Jack and Lucy, their dynamic, they're kind of like, they have that cute rom-com type of relationship where they actually kind of butt heads, and that actual dynamic is kind of the chemistry that's in the tension that's building between the both of them, because they recognize that they are attracted to each other. Neither one of them wants to say it out loud, but it's obvious. And they both, I think, view each other as some kind of like forbidden fruit because of who they are adjacent to Peter. And, obviously it would be terrible. Jack was a terrible brother if he goes in for Lucy, and Lucy's a terrible person. She's already lying. It would be bad enough to then start an affair with the brother.
It'd be really bad.
Yes. So I feel like but there's a certain earnestness to their dynamic that I think is able to ground Lucy a lot and let her see what it would actually be like to that sometimes our reality is better than what we can conjure up in our minds.
So how is Independence Day not like
I don't
where
I
you
know.
go for Bill
Chad,
Pullman?
I know.
I had to go back. I had to go
what Lizzie
back.
said was that the only thing she had seen him in before, so maybe the timeline of seeing those movies. But of course, I think most people in the world would say, "Yeah, Independence Day."
That's what I was shouting to Sarah. I'm like, this will be our Independence Day. And Sarah's
So
looking at me
awesome.
like, what?
No, every millennial girl, Casper lives rent-free in their minds, like 100%. Talk about a first crush. When Casper when Casper became a boy.
When he becomes a boy.
Oh my gosh, he was so cute. every millennial, because he's probably like 12 or so, and so it's like around the same age that like we all were when the movie came out, and just being like, oh my gosh, he's so cute, and like him and Christina Ricci are dancing together and they're in love, and
it's precious. Yeah,
it's so
had
cute.
no idea this was a thing.
It's very much a thing
about it.
Chad.
See if she has the same.
No, hers was Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Very much along.
That's a big one too.
Yeah, very much along the like JTT hair. Yes. I think he's got a kind of a light blonde hair, but like I remember that. Well, let's get back to adults.
Every millennial boy has the speech from Independence Day just like ingrained on our heart.
Oh, God, yeah. Now, here's the thing: is I believe that like I asked you guys earlier, like how do you and your SO make each other laugh? And it's such an impactful and important part of like how I think relationships can make the steps is how comfortable you are with one another and how you can say the right thing or act the right way to elicit like the right kind of smile or the right kind of laughter. And the Jack character is written not just to be funny, but to be very funny to Lucy. Like, Chad, did you see on my very first episode on this show was a sci-fi movie where I said, man, Matt Damon and Emily Blunt are really, their chemistry is there. I think this might be one of the highest intensity chemistry moments on screen that we've covered in the last several years is Bill Pullman and Sandra Bullock. Their chemistry is just eye-popping to me. Do you agree?
Yeah, I really like the dynamic. Lizzie hit it earlier of, to me, it's the how to lose a guy in 10 days. Like the same kind of butting heads, almost semi-antagonistic to each other. And then you find something else in there. That is not, by the way, a good and healthy way to establish a relationship. Find the person that you disagree and butt heads with the most and then try and make something of it. That probably doesn't work very well. We saw it in The Notebook too.
Yeah, it works sometimes.
Like, we're gonna fight for the rest of our lives, and then in the end they're just all this sweet old couple. That's not usually how that story works out, but it makes for a sweet movie. Sandra Bullock has amazing eyes and she has amazing looks at Bill Pullman, and Bill Pullman at the same time. Anyone else, that lean speech is super creepy. Just, if you don't believe me, have me read it. Like, have me get in the space of a woman and then say this, or have Joey over there. He's like, hey, is he leaning?
I kind of look like a lean to me.
I looked at my wife. I'm like, I don't lean in people's faces because that's their personal space and it's threatening. Like, you are invading, but somehow I'd let Bill Pullman do it. Like, he convinces me.
It's one of those like great scenes when we did A Walk to Remember, Dustin, where we talk about how like something so little can go so far in terms of like sexual tension. And, you don't need to be putting it all out there. There's so much insinuation behind it. So just that lean moment and him kind of saying like, I forget exactly what he says, but he says something to the effect of like, when you lean in, you're expressing desire, and kind of the look on Sandra Bullock's face in that moment and the way that their eyes are super locked into each other. That's a powerful scene.
Yes. Yeah, the lips are close. And you're like, will they?
Yeah.
Guys, I know that I've got a couple of catchphrases that I've hit since I've been on the show, but one of them that I do keep coming back to, it's just not as quotable, is that like sometimes it's hotter when you don't touch.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is they know, based on the lie, based on the I'm supposed to be engaged to your brother in a coma, they ain't supposed to touch. And so all of a sudden the lean becomes much sexier.
Well,
And
just find some mistletoe, and then you'll have family endorsement. Again,
so weird.
super weird.
Very
I have two sister-in-laws. Again, looked over at my wife and I'm like, any of your family, I don't care if there's mistletoe or not. Any of your family is like, you got to kiss your sister-in-law now. I'd be like, no, you weirdos, and
Yeah,
just
like,
walk out.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it's like it's fun like at the holiday party.
Yes.
It's not with your coworkers or with literally anybody else except for the person that your brother's supposed to marry. Like,
You have to have like
don't
a
do
5-second
that.
roll, being like, "Wait a second, hold on,
Yeah.
step out of the way." Like, if
Well,
only stay here if you mean it. Otherwise, back up.
I think the very first thing I think about is with Jack, with this portrayal, is he is a rugged style appearance and character. He has a great sense of humor. He is not infallible or like I call it the gym problem. Like he's not like a perfect response in every scenario. He gets jealous, he misinterprets, he gets wrong, he is like revealed to be wrong in instances. He is not like a mastermind. He's a guy. He's just a guy, and that's cool. He's got a dream. Later on, he has to confront his dad about what he wants to do about his dream or whatever it is. I'll go ahead and say this as a side note now. I think all of our little side conflicts are really flimsy and don't really matter at all.
But he
that
does
being,
apologize for them.
but
That's the big thing.
the fact is, well, from the dad's side, he also takes the news extremely well. There's no dramatic build to it at all. This is just something I'm throwing to the side right now because we're not talking about it. We're talking about like Jack's ruggedness and his fallibility. I think makes him just so real, and I think that's really attractive to our ladies in the audience and just to Lucy as well. And I think Sandra Bullock's portrayal here, like I don't know if they had to Foley it in or if they had to do some VO work or something like that, but I don't know if I have heard like a lead actress like giggle and laugh as much as Sandra Bullock does in this movie because they find each other so, I don't know, like they draw into each other. And it's so real. Like you can just see it on screen. And Chad, you're right. It is kind of surprising that it takes 30 minutes to even meet the guy. And then Peter wakes up. Lizzie, with our culmination of this movie, which is sort of like, all right, well, Peter's up now. I believe that Peter Gallagher's character, Peter, is just sort of like comic relief at this point. And then Chad, you'd already brought it up, is like insane advice from Saul. Meet this chick and propose to her right away. Like absolutely insane. But like the way that this movie kind of snakes towards what we're eventually getting at, how do you like our, we'll call it, third act?
Oh, I love it. I think from the moment Peter wakes up, it's like everything has to come to a head, and they do such a good job of it. I think that I think the two things I'll say is that Peter brings such perfect relief because, in the beginning, they play up this idea that he might have amnesia, and he's like, who's Lucy?
I think that's really good, by the way.
Who are
Saying
you?
his
Yeah,
ABCs.
do I like Jell-O? I don't know. Do I like it? and you have this like ongoing thing with Ashley, like, so that's going to come to a head, but the amnesia is really cute. And then they kind of end that with him being able to show that he I can remember my locker combination. I remember everything about my high school, college experiences. So he's, they make sure that that's not a thing. And then they finalize the romance between Lucy and Jack she tries on her wedding dress, and she looks at him and she's like, "Can you give me any reason why I shouldn't marry your brother. And like, that's basically her very passive way of begging him to confess his love for her.
Gosh,
And
what a perfect way to put that, Lizzie, is that like
yes,
the strongest outward statement is still
yes,
so passive.
yes. Like she wants so badly to like, that was like the one step farther and she would have just blurted out like, I love you and I want to marry you and not your brother, but she just couldn't go all the way. So she had like, can you think of any reason why I shouldn't marry your brother? And he just, nope. And then of course, like the sweet little confession that she makes. And I love the third act. Cause to me, after the confession, like the rom-com formula is that once everything's revealed and now everybody's sad about it, there's supposed to be this like, sometimes there's this really long lag between having a breakup or some kind of fight or in this case a revelation and then reconciliation. There's like this really long lag between it where they play sad music and
it might even be like a 1 month passes or
yes,
some other event that you wanted them both present for, like happens and they're sad that they're not together.
Totally.
Yes.
Like when Harry Met Sally kind of thing where it's like it's super long and drawn out. But in this case, like it's really not at all. Like it's, she leaves and she's seemingly at work like a day later. And then he's not even like, Jack isn't even mad at her. The family's not even mad at her. They just plop the ring down and they propose and it's all just like happily ever after. So it's just, I love that they kind of understood the assignment, that it's really a lot less about the drama and kind of more about the fun.
You both have siblings. I want to go back to Lizzie's statement where she says, can you think of any reason I shouldn't marry your brother? How are you answering that?
Oh my gosh. If my sister-in-law asked me that, I would say no if in my mind. I guess I don't know actually what I'd have to really understand the context of why she would ask me that question.
I want to answer so smartly. It's just that I think in this context, we're talking about a brother, and I do not have a brother. I've got 2 sisters. So it doesn't work the same because there's no way we would be competing for this. Like, I think it's a cool question. I just, my brain is zagging off the road with it.
I feel like any person, like especially as you're talking about brother to brother relationship, they're gonna come up with something, but it's like you already know it. Or I could give you a million reasons, but you've overlooked all of them. So
and I think this is the thing that I think matters with Jack.
Yeah,
is she's clearly begging him to say the thing, which is,
but he doesn't want her.
Oh, and what a delivery of that line too to her boss, right? Is, well, he didn't want me, which is so not true, and we're all aching.
I know.
We don't. I don't think this movie has a lot of heartache, but the little bit that you get is enough. It's like a pea shooter. Like you get a little bit of heartache there.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's that little bit of crisis that you see on her face and even in the crack of her voice is very much important to any audience member, that like, wow, that sometimes you have to feel the hurt. I think this movie has a surprising lack of hurt. And that's because of the weight, the balance of comedy. I think this movie has so much comedy in it that it can't bog you down with the hurt. And a lot of it comes with chaos. Chad, I want to bring up our chaotic family, including Saul, is that I think we've got like this sort of fun cast of people that are all there to be like, when they're on screen, it's fun. And that's where I wanted to ask, like, did you find like your fun level was high? Like your heart feeling the emotions of a romance movie, I think it doesn't need to try so hard because the movie is also giving you, well, look at all these fun guys just kind of being silly.
It reminded me a lot of My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Now, it's not the cultural misunderstanding and things like that, but it's the same type of quirky, odd family dynamics. They've got Elsie being just the best character. Elsie's fantastic.
Wonderful.
I can't drink any more or less.
Or less.
Peter Boyle is fantastic in everything. I ran into him with it, what people are going to know him, either Young Frankenstein, which is what he's doing, or the dad in Everybody Loves Raymond. He's pretty much Frank in Everybody Loves Raymond here, but he's very, very funny. And they make little quips, and it's just, you can understand how she falls in love with this type of family right away. They even just the arguments in church service and stuff like that as they're singing and they're just bantering back and forth. They do mention it's like we're in 93, 95. They're like, nobody plays the clarinet anymore. I'm like, this is Kenny G's. This is his era. He's sax, clarinet. Like,
yeah.
Kenny G is very popular. That was a weird thing for them to say, like weird instrument to go down. But yeah, the family's the best part of this movie for me, and the best dynamic. Same with My Big Fat Greek Wedding. I like that formula of here's someone I don't want to, or I don't understand, but I'd like to.
What do you mean you don't eat no meat? It's like my favorite part.
What
like, it's okay.
We just got a nothing bundt cakes, and I want to put a flower pot in it every time and be like, I fixed the hole in your cake. Or every time there's Windex, squirt a little Windex.
So I squirt Windex on stuff, and I will also tell you,
such a great movie. Oh, it's fantastic.
It really is. You know, maybe we've got our plan for next Valentine's.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think we've ever called our shot, but let's do it. we really don't do that this far ahead.
We can.
Well, I think I cannot let it go by with saying that I believe maybe the worst pun name in all of American business history is Nothing Bundt Cakes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like, I think there's absolutely no other worse pun business name than that one.
They're delicious, though.
It's really funny.
I can
get behind you. They're very delicious. That's true.
Well, you know, I think I do bring up several times when I'm on a movie, I want to get to the conflict. I want to get to like the problems. A big lie that she didn't even really tell. I think that's a problem. Ashley Bacon. She shows back up. Not for very long. I feel like her presence is just a joke payoff. Like somebody at the writer's room was like, yeah, but she's going to keep leaving this message and she's going to be mean. And the doorman's not going to like her. Oh, she's really mean. Lizzie, did you find that her payoff was really worth it?
I thought it was funny because I think she corroborates that Peter's not a very great guy. I think that,
interesting.
Yes, because I think, you know, from Peter's perspective, we're hearing like, I've never been able to be faithful to a woman, all the stuff with the squirrel, and he's letting it all. I know that sounds such a silly thing to say altogether, but he's kind of like relieving himself of all of, like, he's confessing, and he's saying, like, you know, he just has not lived a good life. Well, Ashley's very much this representation of kind of all the things that Peter has been doing wrong, honestly, because she's this woman who comes walking, and we learn that she's currently married. And so we know that she's, you know,
that kind.
Yeah, a certain word. And then we also know on top of that she's
use a hoe.
Yes.
Oh!
So we know that she's a harlot, and then we also know on top of that she's had a nose job and a boob job, both of which she flaunts in front of Peter's face. And she seems like this total, like, superficial bimbo, but worst of all, she seems like she has a really cold, hard heart. And I think she's great because although her anger and her frustration kind of are funny because it's just this manic woman having a temper tantrum, but I think it also in some silly way is rewarding because she is proof that Peter actually never was a great guy to begin with.
She's the exact opposite of Lucy. She's in this upper crust of society. She's vapid. She is very much materialistic. unfortunately, once again, we're making cats a joke. Like, she has a cat, and Peter doesn't like cats. And Lucy says, "Hey, I'm going home to my cat. That's pathetic. I have 3 cats. I love cats. I will continue to defend them whenever possible. Also, don't have poinsettias. I told the listeners I would have more cat advice. Poinsettias are poisonous to felines.
Same with lilies.
Yeah, don't have them around cats."
Mhm.
Lucy is going around with a poinsettia. I'm like, you know how I know you don't have a cat? That plant. Put me on these Hollywood movies just for these types of things.
Set
No
design, no
IV
poinsettias
bags.
on side.
Yep. Clearly labeled tuna that says for cats. No poinsettias, different type of flowers, not lilies either. But yeah, she is. I do like when she's grabbing her chest. She's like, "You want these back too? You paid for them."
Yeah.
Just that kind of
Yeah,
materialism.
just like really just kind of a foul woman. Yeah, like a shrew.
Yeah. No, she I like what you said, the chat is like she's kind of the opposite of Lucy, which is true. And what happens is apparently Peter felt strongly enough to propose to her to show you the kind of guy that Peter is. But I think what's kind of nice is Peter does change. Now it was in part due to like, hey, by the way, after you meet this chick, you're gonna have to propose to her. Okay. Do I
Right.
like Jello? And like it turns into this like, all right, well, Peter does believe he's got like a new lease on life and like he's going to change how he is. So we do kind of get a happy ending for Peter, is that it would be with anybody else except for
Anyone else? Yeah.
yeah, literally anybody else. And Jack deserves his his partnership too, and that's all great. The family's great. I want to bring up before we hit our superlative section just the atmosphere of this movie. At first, I started writing a statement that I wanted to pitch to you guys, which was like, does this movie really need to happen at Christmas? But what I found was that like the family togetherness of the Christmas scene when she brings the poinsettias over to the house does really seem to matter to how like this movie wraps you up. Do either of you disagree?
Makes
Right,
sense.
yeah.
Although the hospital staff all hanging out and drinking together during New Year's, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
They only did it for the shot of like they only did it so that they could get the
The New
waking up
Year's.
shot
The waking,
to
yes.
kind of matter. But then it's also like it's Chicago and it's cold and it's snowy. I feel as if like it's a cold time, y'all. Like right now we're recording and it's cold. I like watching movies of the snow and of the cold in the cold. Lizzie, did you feel as if this was like you watch while you were sleeping in the winter, or is it a year-round rom-com?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like because of the setting, I mean, you could watch it year round for sure, but I think uh, given the current like winter climate that we're in, it's kind of fun. I think there's something sexy about the cold because you need to, when it's cold weather, like you get a little closer, you snuggle up a little tighter, you
Yeah.
get that body heat. Like there's definitely something about the cold that I guess in some weird way it makes you a little bit more vulnerable, I suppose. So then they're, and like Lucy and Jack, they're having to huddle up a lot more together. A lot of their conversations, whether like they're walking home and he's getting ready, she's just gonna like leave him when his truck breaks down, and he's just like, well, will you walk with me? Because we know it is like dark and it's Chicago in the winter, and like then
Well,
he
he's
kinda,
worried about his own safety.
yeah, and then he kind of busts her chops over her coat, and she's like, it's my dad. So it's like somehow the weather in and of itself is able to like open up a different conversation for them. But I just think there's something sexy about the cold because it makes for good snuggling, and it works for them.
Chad, are you on board?
No. But I'm going to refer back to my previous Hallmark movie criticism. Like, I feel we've now created 60 days of a movie like this every single day, and it has made me just want nothing to do. I had not considered this a Christmas romance. I think you're right. I think this is 100% a Christmas movie, Christmas romance. and I like it even less now because of that and just the association. But I'm a warm weather type person. I actually like cold weather, but in my movies, I want warm weather. It elicits feelings of me like people are both sides. They're tending to wear less. They are in bathing suits. They are in the guys are shredded. Whatever it is, like these are attractive people doing attractive things together. Like uh, Fool's Gold, terrible movie, but that's the type of sexiness there is for me. Bundling up, it doesn't. Maybe in our household, my wife and I sit in different places. She sits by the fire. I sit as far away from the fire as humanly possible because I don't like the heat. I don't like it at all. So I do love my weighted blanket, but I'm like on a different couch. So we will sit together in the summer. Maybe that's part of it for me. It's interesting hearing Lizzie say cold is sexy. Hallmark has turned me off of it. It is I think of like kids doing snow angels or like just bundled up in parkas, the least sexy things you could possibly think of.
Well, definitely when putting kids into the equation, but I think when watching our kids, like maybe like watching our kids like sled down a hill and no one's complaining, as long as like no one's like complaining about being cold and everyone's just around playing, then Aaron and I usually like snuggle up together watching them play. And so yeah, I think just going back to Dustin's point about sometimes like less is more. Aaron tends to run hot, so if it's hot outside to any degree, like I'm not getting snuggled like at all. He's like, don't touch me, I'm sweating, so I can't. You can't. So that's probably why I like the cold.
Dustin, you've got to solve this debate.
Well, what this is indicative of is I think this is now the third year in a row where one of us describes something as sexy and somebody else says, no. Which is why we're just the perfect team for this.
I'm fascinated by this from Lizzie, though. That is fascinating perspective.
There was something that she brought up, that Lizzie brought up just now about like the idea of the cold is that cold can bring defenses down and cold can show off your vulnerabilities. Is that you can't out tough the cold. You got to be cold. Jack is cold, out in the cold. He falls, he rips his pants, and their falling is what forces them to rely on each other. And then what do we get? We are close, we are gripping, we are hanging on to one another. Wait a second, aren't you supposed to be marrying my brother in a coma? Well, that leaves the mind. Instead, it's just this embrace, it's just this closeness right now.
The path was completely clear just to the right.
They could have walked anywhere else. Right?
So
they
frustrating.
Walked anywhere else. But I'm a little old fashioned. I offer my arm to whomever I'm walking with, particularly if they're female, right? Always. And the same thing with stepping out of a car or downstairs. Like I offer that all the time. And I think there's something about like choosing to go that difficult route it's almost as if like within are we getting ourselves into trouble by going this hard route? He didn't have to walk all the way this far, and then he's making himself socially vulnerable. Well, I'll just walk a little farther, and that's the hint, that's the clue that like I don't want to leave you right now. And that's kind of a fun part about this is they so very clearly enjoy each other's company that anytime a movie can show you that what I want is to be around you more.
Yes.
Is once again, it calls back to that chemistry. And when that chemistry results in willingness to expose like vulnerability, we're not talking, Lizzie wasn't talking about like, oh, a parka is sexy clothing. She's saying like the emotional aura is what's sexy here. And that's, I think, just a great thing that like rom-coms, romance movies, but a rom-com like this kind of does like show you that it's this connection that they share that is what's so alluring for us. And I want to talk more about this movie, but I want to do it in our superlative section. You guys
He
ready?
dodged that question perfectly. He solved nothing, audience.
Oh yeah, we'll have to do it. We should do a Facebook poll. Be like, what's sexier, winter or summer?
Ooh,
we do
okay.
skew male though, so that may not go in your favor. I don't know.
Probably.
All right, so yeah, you're asking me to now like go back and say who wins, what's sexier, and are we gonna make it what's sexier, cold weather clothing or warm weather clothing?
I ask you then, but I guess I'm asking
I guess
now as
if
well.
we're boiling it down to clothing, it feels like obvious, but
I'm just saying season at all. Like I think winter clothes, and I'm just bundled up and even less attractive.
Okay, I'm gonna give my answer, which is it's the cold.
Ooh, Lizzie wins.
It's the cold.
Yes.
Because it's the effort and the time and the imagination of layer after layer after layer. Audience.
That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
And it's worth it, isn't it?
Dustin's putting on the thing afterwards.
Spicy.
I'm gonna go watch the thing. Kurt Russell's all bundled up.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff.
Get a nice Pinot Grigio going.
Oh, you putz. The only female in that movie is the voice that says the chess moves.
The dog might have been a female.
Yes. I think we might be going on vacation, Aaron and I, next month. And if we are, we're going to Quebec. And so I'll be it's without our children. So it's just the two of us. So I will be able to definitively tell you if cold is sexier after that. Because we've been on plenty of like warm weather vacations without our kids.
That was a very concerning transition because we were talking about the thing and you're like, Aaron and I are going away. I'm like, which one of you is going to come back? Or both of you just replaced by...
Now, is Peter E. Hart attempting to learn a little bit about the Canadian whiskey?
Ooh, you know what? That's a great idea. You know, that's not why we're going. We're just going because we want to go on a ski trip. And Canada, honestly, just so much more economical to do it in Canada than to go to like Colorado or somewhere like that. But because fun fact, you could stay in a castle in Canada for like $300 a night. And when $300 a night in the US will get you like, you know, still a decent room, but
stabbed,
not a castle. And so I'm very excited about it. But that's actually a great idea. We really ought to try to right now.
Canada's understandably mad at us right now and kind of has a moratorium on American bourbon. So yeah, you might have a tough time, but maybe.
Well, right now we haven't even left the walls of Kentucky, so we don't even know, and we don't even know if we want to because we kind of like the exclusivity of saying you can only buy us in Kentucky. So we'll see.
And now I'm thinking, like, if we're talking about momentum, like in the summertime when you're at the pool, what do? Is you put on a cover up or a shirt and you're putting clothes on when you get back into like your lodging or your home. But in the cold weather, the momentum, you're already shedding layers as soon as you go inside. And so inertia is taking you towards undress. I think that's another point in the cold column. This is good stuff. We are scientists.
That's a good debate. There's something that we should bring up with everybody.
It's not a debate anymore. I've solved it.
It's like a good. That's a good dinner. It's a good dinner party conversation. That's a really good. Like, your next dinner party. It's like, okay, which season is sexier?
So sexy watching me try and pry off ski socks for myself.
Audience, control yourself.
I'll make sure and put my leg up the next time I come in from shoveling this side. Actually, my wife was taking pictures and video of me, which probably sounds stalkerish, as I'm shoveling our driveway. So Lizzie may have a point. I have been missing it all along.
Yeah, I'll ask her to share it with me so that we can put out the 2027 Retro Movie Roundtable calendar.
Yeah, so me all parkered up,
Mr. January.
With a
Chad.
shovel? Yeah. That'll sell well.
It's superlative time.
Oh, gosh.
All right, Lizzie, we'll start with you. Who is the MVP of While You Were Sleeping?
It has to go to Sandra Bullock. I know it's cliche to give it to the leading lady, but this movie really rests on her shoulders. Like, she is so innocent and sweet, and she has this purity that she's able to bring to the character that, because you're talking about deception, it really only works with someone that's able to bring that kind of innocence to a role. And she does a really beautiful job at it.
Good answer. Chad, who's your MVP?
Yeah, I gushed about her earlier. It's Sandra Bullock. No one else makes this work.
I think you're right. And we're going to go 3 for 3. She's also my MVP. I believe movies generally try to give you clues, especially with leading men, to be like, leading man walks into coffee shop and like 2 ladies look up and get distracted from what their conversation is because they're looking at leading man, to remind you, audience, that this person is very attractive. I think this movie does the opposite, which is trying to convince you that Sandra Bullock is not both incredibly cute but also a smoke show, like both at the same time. And maybe it's the chunky fisherman sweater, maybe it's the bangs that she actually styles up in that very 90s way, like later, like at the house. Like, they try these things, but like there's some things that just break through, and like she's great. And I talked about her looks mainly, but I think it's her total performance is really laudable. Best supporting actor, Lizzie.
So I put Glynis Johns, and that's Elsie's character.
Elsie.
We mentioned her a little bit. She's just so silly and funny, and you can tell she's the matriarch of the family, absolutely. But she really leads the charge with the goofiness of the family. She does a great job.
I think so. Yes. Chad, best supporting.
2 for 2. I went Glynis Johns.
Nice.
That is the weirdest camera, by the way, that I've ever seen. Like, I grew up in the 90s, and I do not remember that little alien T-visor type camera. But
yes,
the things she's doing, even when she's not speaking. She gets up during that argument at the altar, and you see her in the corner snapping pictures. Fantastic.
I think her character is fun. I also kind of think that like she kind of looks like like the whole world is new to her all the time. Like,
surprised by everything.
That's a good way to put it.
It's so a very particular nature to that. I didn't choose her. I chose Jack Warden as Saul, and I like our Saul character. Do you guys remember the movie Problem Child?
Yes.
I don't know.
He's prominent in that movie. Which is not a good movie. It's also got John Ritter in it, but like that movie isn't good. But like I remember him from that, and I really liked seeing him in a like a lovable role.
He reminds me of the grandfather in Princess Bride, like that same type personality.
He does. Yeah, friendly, helpful. Yeah, and it took me a while to like lock in. Like, what are you again? And then the movie like reminds you like, let me talk to my godson. Like, I'm just a family friend, whatever. He does fail at his job.
Repeatedly.
Isn't there a movie where he plays like that actor actually does play like a senile person?
I don't know it. I don't know too many about Jack Warden stuff.
I'll look that up and report back.
Well, we are going to your hidden gem. So hit us with your hidden gem and then find that for us.
So my hidden gem originally was just Peter Boyle, because I love him. We mentioned him in Young Frankenstein earlier. I just adore him, absolutely. But I did read something earlier that said that random scene where the kid is riding his bike and the paperboy is.
What was that about?
Is it real?
Was a real fall. And
awesome.
And that they didn't actually, there was no schedule or no plan for him to fall. There was an actual real fall, and he broke his wrist, and that they kept it in the movie, which I just think is so savage. But I also bet that like he probably loves it.
Oh, my rating has just gone up half a star. Chad.
Children getting injured.
We love it. Chad, what's your hidden gem?
I couldn't even find the dude's name, but the guy who was posted up on the hospital bed buy Peter towards the end when Ashley comes in, and his mannerisms in his face as he's hearing this soap opera story of like, cheated on this and you proposed to me and you're marrying this new girl and I've got fake boobs and everything else. Then he gives like a little bit of sage commentary at the end. It wasn't really necessary, but I love that guy's facial expressions.
Yeah, and he he is actually at the wedding scene. He's there too. But I really like he's like on board with everything that's happening next to him. I don't know. I thought he was really funny too. My hidden gem is not so hidden, but it's Micole Rispoli as Joe Jr. I think Joe Jr. is really fun.
He's great.
I think that they're like, how do we attempt to make him more disgusting? And I think if you go 1 degree further than they did, then you actually don't like him.
Agreed.
They went just the perfect amount.
Yes.
And that's really, really well done.
Yes, agreed.
That I think there are lines that he says that if he was made 1 step grosser, you'd be like, oh, I don't like this. Instead, like I mean, all right, here's just an example, right? He's trying on her shoes. He's not like sniffing her shoes. Like that's 1 degree.
You don't know that.
But what's on screen? What's on screen is what's funnier is like he's trying them on.
Yes.
Like what he's like he gives her a hug and he like feels her bras. Like, is this the black one? You're like, oh, come on, dude. But like, at least you're not seeing him like peek in the window. Like he's not like a total creep.
Yeah.
I think that's really well done. So the hidden gem is not just for his performance, but also like they wrote him to be just the amount of what he needed to be, so that she's got better relationships to have.
Yes.
Lizzie, who are you recasting here?
Okay, so quick distraction is that character that plays Saul, he's in Dirty Work with Norm Macdonald. He plays Pops. That's where he's from. That's a really funny movie if you haven't seen it. But my recast is I would replace Ashley, the actress that plays Ashley, with Elaine Hendricks. So she's Meredith Blake from Parent Trap. And I think just having somebody who I think is able to kind of bring like that like wickedness, that's also being able to do it in a way that feels fun. I think that would have been really, really interesting to see, because someone like Elaine's character, she has like this larger than life personality, but she can also play a really mean, villainous woman so well. And and also do it while maintaining to be sexy. And I think that she probably would have maybe been able to bring a little bit more layers and texture to Ashley's character.
I did find Ashley Bacon's character to be flat. I brought it up earlier. Is that I didn't feel as if she was anything more than a punchline to a joke, but that's and with the capability of there being so much more, I think.
Yes.
So good candidate, I believe. Chad, who are you recasting here?
I don't buy Peter Gallagher as the love interest at all. Like, it's one of those things where I look at him and Sandra Bullock and think, you don't go together.
He's got twice the eyebrows I have. I'll tell you that.
Oh my gosh, he really does.
My wife made me watch the OC, and he was the dad in the OC.
Mr. Cohen, yes, of course. Yes.
So I keep going back to that image of him and projecting it on this, and he really doesn't look that different, which is unsettling. It is a Benjamin Button type thing.
OC.
But no, the OC was not good. Let's not go there. But I think I would pay the high price of putting Tom Cruise in this and have him sleep through most of the movie. I could see him as like this dreamboat guy that she's really fawning over. I can see Tom Cruise and Sandra Bullock together. So we're going to put Tom Cruise in here.
I think we do.
Definitely could pass as Jack's brother more, for sure.
He does do comedy pretty well too.
Yes, you're really right about that. Is could there be more of a familiar kind of ruggedness? I went after Peter Gallagher too. Only I went with one of two options. I really thought we were still in we're still in Johnny Depp's beautiful man boy phase, where he's still like a beautiful man.
Yeah.
And I think that could really work for this, like someone to like kind of dreamy eyes at. But then I thought also Patrick Swayze too, is it kind of doesn't matter. Like, is that you've got to have somebody who I think Swayze absolutely makes sense as the rugged brother's brother.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of choices there. The problem is it was not the wrong casting to put Peter Gallagher there in 1995. It's just that when we're looking back 30 years later, we're going, who had impact, and not him, aside from the OC.
Yeah.
Best shot, Lizzie.
I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but to revisit it, just because I think it is the best shot in the movie, is when they're outside and Jack is delivering the lean statement.
Yeah.
And as he's leaning in and you see his face and he's like, it's about wanting and it's about desiring, the camera changes and now you're seeing Lucy's face, and she has the face that is recognizable to every single woman, which is this face of, I'm incredibly happy because in this moment I have like all of these butterflies, but I can't smile because I don't want to reveal my true feelings. So I'm trying as hard as I can to bottle this whole entire moment in. But I'm like, you can see her poker face clearly, but you can also see the tension of her trying to hide how excited she is that he's leaning into her like that. And it's a perfect face. And every woman can recognize it and relate to that feeling of being like, I don't want to let on how excited I am right now, but I'm also not doing a very good job at it.
That is such a super frustrating thing for you to say.
But it is true. Because it's like, you don't want to, it's not on. I mean, I recognize that there is a certain level of game playing when you're dating that is really wildly unfair. But I think a lot of it is
or when you're walking your brother in a coma's fiance home, right? There's a game you play.
But I think some of it is also rooted in like some level of like self-preservation, of like going back to like this thoughtful idea of like doodling your name. It's like I don't want to get too carried away. I recognize that like and in Lucy's case, she's like, I shouldn't be wanting this. Like, I shouldn't be wanting this. I shouldn't be feeling this way, but I cannot deny what's right in front of me. And like, you can just see it on her face that like, she is super into what's happening and also trying to fight the urge to just like lean right back in. And it's a great face. She does it perfectly.
What great insight. Yeah. Incredible comment there. Chad, follow it up. What's your best shot?
I can't follow that up with anything other than sheer frustration.
Sorry.
It's an unfair game sometimes, Chad.
Right. Just tell us how you feel.
Yeah. I get it.
We are dumb creatures. We will interpret that as disinterest. My shot is a whole lot less simple, or more simple. At one point, Lucy is like visibly leaning back while they're in the hospital room, and she's craning back, and we switch to a close-up of an exit sign.
Yes.
Like, that is what she's doing. Is how do I get out of this situation? So as a visual gag, that made me laugh.
That's cute.
That is cute. I have a
I
backup.
sound so stupid after Lizzie's given this heartfelt insight. She looked at an exit sign funny.
I have one that is cute, which is when the ring is put in the basin and she looks up and the whole family's behind him.
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Smiling. That's terrifying.
I thought that was so fun. I'm like,
it's adorable. Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
It was really a big payoff for me. I'm like, they love her too, and it's great because that's what an incredible feeling to have.
Absolutely.
But I actually went with it's right before she says, "Can you give me one reason not to marry your brother?" She actually like rushes out of her apartment, opens the door, and yells, "Jack!" And he turns around in the staircase. For most of the movie, he's got like 8 inches on her. So most of the movie, he's kind of the movie actually has him leaning over her subtly throughout the whole movie because of his height and the way they shoot it. But in that scene, he's looking up because he's down the stairs, and the turn that he has is what he was doing from the male perspective is he was thinking about how he screwed it up, and he was thinking about how he did not capitalize, and he's thinking about going home alone. He's thinking about how it's not fair. He's thinking about all the ways it didn't happen, and then he hears a miracle, which is her calling his name, and the turn that he gives, like, into whatever you have to say is better than the rest of my life could have possibly been, or the rest of my life could have possibly been. Talk about a look. That is
so
I needed this more than anything.
Yeah.
And he then, within 5 seconds, he cannot respond in the non-chivalrous way. He has to say, because it's his brother, he has to say,
Yep.
I can't. And that's it. So good insights from the crew, plus Chad's.
Right.
All right,
yeah.
now
Thank you.
Now,
Oh man,
Lizzie, give me your best scene.
My favorite scene is the confession moment when she's, from how silly it is, where her being like, I can't do this. I'm in love with your son. And they're like, okay, so what's the problem? She's like, not that one, that one. And but ultimately what I love so much about the scene is later, and I touched on this earlier, but when she kind of makes this larger confession about how she's like, I didn't just become a fiance, I became a granddaughter and a daughter and a sister. And you can hear the like raw emotion, and Lucy's like, her voice is cracking, she's holding back. You can tell she's truly like holding back like hysterical tears and just trying to get those words out as best as she can. And you can hear the guilt and the shame in her voice as she's saying it, but also like the admiration. It just was like a deeply human moment, and I loved it so much. Very rarely in rom-coms do we have kind of that like truly like raw, real emotion. It tends to be kind of more like surface level infatuation. But to see that like that love being there for a family, I thought was really very sweet.
I think so too. Chad, what is your best scene?
I just really enjoy the church banter scene where they are arguing, and in between, like perfectly timed amen, and then go back to it without missing a beat. You get sweet Elsie. I miss it being in Latin when I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah, that's great.
I really liked the scene with the couch. Is we're doing this task and we're kind of revealing some stuff, and something mundane seems to matter. The way they work together, the way they kind of learn each other, feel each other out. They break the vase, ruined your carpet.
That's
whatever.
messed up, by the way. Clean it up.
It is so messed up. Yeah. But like this, because that's what started. I actually like that part better than the walk home. The walk home is well done. But the walk home, I've seen that walk home. They're walking very slow. I've seen that walk home in 100 other rom-coms, but it's this little feeling out menial task thing. Sometimes when you're put with a partner for something that like this isn't fun or whatever, but it kind of reveals something. And the couch is disgusting.
It's hideous,
ugly,
yeah.
hideous,
oh, it's so gross.
perfectly.
And everybody that's watched Friends is shouting pivot. When they're
Pivot! Pivot!
Shut up, shut up.
Pivot! Shut up, shut up! Oh, that's great. Fantastic. I love it. Okay, best wardrobe or makeup moment, Lizzie.
I really love all of Sandra Bullock's big baggy sweaters. I love them so much. I feel like it's such a time. She wears this outfit. I forget. It's like towards the end of the movie where it's like a navy cardigan that's buttoned up all the way and like a brown satin skirt. That whole entire look is like incredibly in right now, which is just silly to see how cyclical fashion is. But I also like it because I read a theory that on the walk home, when Jack is saying that she needs to buy a better jacket. She's like, oh, this was my dad's. And so because she's saying that she wears her dad's coat, perhaps the reason why she's always wearing oversized sweaters is because they were all her dad's, maybe, which I think was kind of a cute idea of like, maybe they were. And that's cute thought. Not that cardigan because it was like cropped, but you know, most of the other maybe.
Well, it does make me think that I think the movie, I didn't bring it up earlier, but I think the movie does a pretty good job of showing you how alone she is.
Mm-hmm.
Not just lonely alone, but alone. And telling you about not having parents and like the only people around her, like there's not a close relationship. The person behind her at the ticket booth, whatever, like there's she's alone. She was desperate for closeness to anybody, anything. And so I think the movie does a good job with that. And if we're using little clues like, well, the reason she wears this stuff is because it connects her to her dad, which the first opening narration is all about her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of makes sense to me that they are making effort to prove to you she's alone, and that I think that's smart. Chad, what's your best wardrobe or makeup moment?
Saul's hat. Something about that hat just makes it okay for him to suddenly talk about Peter Schmeckel in the middle of. It's like you get a pass because you can pull off this hat, and it just seems like you will offer sage advice and also really embarrassing
really
turns
bad
of phrase.
advice too.
Yeah.
Really good hat. Yeah. Mine are Jack's flannels, because there's no way to prove to an audience this is a blue collar guy than by having him wear exclusively flannel, and they do not deviate from it one bit.
Works with his. It's the Hallmark formula. Works with his hands, and especially in this one, he does the same job as Jesus.
That's good, man. I now can't separate While You Were Sleeping from Hallmark movie as far as topics.
It really is a great Hallmark
stuck
movie.
Together forever.
Yeah.
Well, change one thing about this movie, Lizzie.
Mine's kind of a cop-out, but I would really change the poster. It always really irritates me that the movie poster is Jack and Lucy together. And to me, it just feels like a massive spoiler. I think it's like, why the whole plot of the movie is supposed to be about, like, you're watching it really thinking that it's going to be all about her love and infatuation with Peter. So you're immediately confused when you see that the poster of the movie or what's on the cover is her being like embraced by a totally different guy. So I think that was kind of a miss. So I know it's a little bit of a cop-out, but I really dislike the poster choice.
I think it's actually great. It's a great selection. I've made the choice before, like change the title of this movie. Yeah. Not this one, but I've made that choice before, being like, this was a bad choice, and I agree there. Chad, what's your change one thing?
I like Lizzie's a lot. I really do, because during the first 20 minutes, I mentioned it was 30 minutes for Jack to appear. I'm like, there was a different guy I remember in this movie, and I hit IMDb and see the poster. I'm like, oh yeah, there he is. So yeah, exactly. Like, something's up. So I'm going to change two things. Number one, when they're at the hot dog vendor, her boss walks away without his hot dog, and the vendor doesn't say anything, and that really, really bothered me. They're Chicago dogs. Like, these are the things that put me on the set of this. Like, give the man a hot dog. He has it the second time they do it. But the second thing is just going to ruin all of Dustin's commentary. Joe Jr. is completely unnecessary to the plot. Furthermore, he annoyed me to death. The thick New York accent in the middle of Chicago makes zero sense. I think just to make him grating to the people of Chicago, like stick an annoying New Yorker. Can't stand the character. And he added nothing to the movie. Get rid of him.
He's great.
So you can pick the first one of give the boss the hot dog.
No, if you don't need a Joe Jr., you need something else.
I don't.
And we all need it, I believe, and I mentioned it before. We all need more conflict that matters. The lie needs to have ramifications. The fiance coming back needs to severely like throw in a wrench in the plan. Jack needs to do something more wrong than saying you're pregnant. Like there needs to be a harder transgression. Lizzie, you brought it back up earlier in the formula part of this is
Yes.
there's got to be some kind of transgression that's overcome, and it's every transgression in this movie is weak. And that's okay because this is a really pleasant movie. And if you don't want your heart to go through the calisthenics, our friend Brian Fry is like, I don't watch movies for that. Well, I do. I want the movie to show me, and let's stretch out our heart and our emotions. Let's figure out how tough this was, and like this, there's stuff that's fun from overcoming catastrophes, disasters, even if they're just social. And I think this movie is just a little too pleasant all the way through. So that's my change one thing. And if Joe Jr. is worse, right? I said I like that his portrayal is kind of fun, but if he's worse, if he's maybe threatening, if Jack saves her, if Peter saves her, if he's a bad guy or whatever, then he matters more. And I think there's a lot of things in this movie that are so close to mattering, but don't really, because it's all based on a lie. It's like, so we're close. I think we're really close. Best quote, Lizzie.
I like when Elsie says, I don't drink anymore, but I don't drink any less. I just think that's so cute and so clever. And and that really stayed with me.
It is. It's good. Chad, what's yours?
Kitty. Rich kitty.
Rich kitty.
Rich kitty. For me, I'm going with a Jack quote when he's talking to Peter when he's in the wheelchair outside the elevator. Yeah, she just gets under your skin the first time you meet her. You don't know whether you want to hug her or arm wrestle her. She would go all the way to Europe just to get a stamp on her passport. Is it insanity? Or is she just really, really likable? I like that description because he is trying to say out loud, I love her.
Yeah.
And he's not allowed to.
He's so frustrated with, yes.
It is frustrating.
He's not wrong about that passport, though. She is obsessed with Florence.
She really is.
Shut up about
yes. I hope Florence was all it was cracked up to be, that for her. And
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was, but yes.
The L train goes all the way there, yeah.
Yeah, she's not dreaming about the husband. She doesn't mention the partner. She's just like, Florence.
I just want to go.
She did just meet the
trust
guy.
me, Florence is spectacular, but anywhere, Florence or otherwise, would be horrible with the wrong person. So yeah, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a much better line to end the movie on.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
We weren't going for our change 2 things or change 3 things, but I had mentioned before when we were talking about John Cusack last year that like I really can't stand the fourth wall breaking of High Fidelity. And I gotta say, something about this movie that did not hold up to me at all was the narration intro and outro. It just seems so old-fashioned.
She means that in like a cheeky, cute way, but that is a super cold line to say to someone. Hey, when did you fall in love with my brother? While you were sleeping. That's messed up. That's cold.
That's while you were sleeping.
Well, and that's when I started to dig a little bit, being like, was this based on a book? And that's the actual opening, the actual closing? I'm like, I don't think so. So I don't know. I didn't. Why put any negative sauce on this? Let's move on to our ratings. That's right. Our star ratings, our lowest possible rating is a 0.5 star. Our highest is a 5 star. Lizzie, how are you going to rate While You Were Sleeping?
I think I'm going to give it 4.5. I think it's truly like it's a great romantic comedy. To me, it checks all the boxes. I think it's such an easy watch. And it's really heartwarming. Like it's a very sweet, touching movie. There's very low drama, so it's not going to take your nervous system on a bunch of wild rides. But I think that what we miss out on, I think, which we touched a little bit, when you don't have those kind of like dips and ebbs and flows, you do miss out on kind of that larger payoff at the end of having things work out. Sometimes when you just kind of stay here and stay in the middle, there's not kind of that like big like, oh yay, like they're finally together, and you are really happy for them at the end and really really excited, but you really kind of, I'd say like my heart and my emotions stay pretty neutral throughout this movie, which makes it a great and easy watch.
Yeah.
But it is missing kind of that like delicious aspect of the romance aspect. It leans sometimes a little bit too much in the com, not as much rom. So that's the only reason why I'm not giving it a full 5-star. But I mean, I think this movie is fantastic.
It's not just a rom-com, it's a rom-calm. Like the easy
Yes,
waters.
that's a great way of putting it. It's super chill. Yes.
It is a pleasant watch. I totally feel you on that. Okay, Chad, give me your rating of While You Were Sleeping.
He says with a grin on his face, like, I'm going to back up whatever you're about to do. I'm not going to help you here. I'm going to go just same boring waters, 3 stars. It's a ridiculous concept, but it is a fun and harmless watch. Like, the misunderstandings are fun. The complaint that I brought up, I think this movie is diminished, and it's not its fault by what comes after it. And that is just the deluge of Hallmark movies. That this could just, I could put Candace Cameron or whichever of the Mallory sisters, like you could replace them and have a worse movie, but that's exactly what my wife is watching during November and December.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever of the Mallories it is that does it. One bakes, the other does this. And yeah. So it's fun, it's fine, but it's not going to be on that Mount Rushmore for me of romantic comedies.
I am going to be closer to you here, Chad, with a 3.5 stars.
Wow.
I think Sandra Bullock is just delightful to watch and really carries this quite a bit. I was really excited with this side of Bill Pullman, that he's got this kind of like these chops. I mean, Lizzie, you said that like it's really kind of calm waters and it doesn't take you on a dramatic ride. I want the dramatic ride.
Mm-hmm.
I want that out of a movie like this. I like pleasant watches too. I think in general my pleasant watches are just comedies. But this is like Tommy Boy's conflict is like, yeah, whatever. It's still funny.
Yeah.
but like I do want, I guess I do long for the like tugging at the heartstrings style romance movies.
Mm-hmm.
But like this, it doesn't mean this movie was poor. It does exactly what it was supposed to do, which was be pleasant, and I would watch it again. And if I were 3 weeks into a relationship, let's watch a movie, I'd say it is fun, and I wouldn't have a bad time at all. But it doesn't go into my like, oh, that's a great one. Not like some of the ones we've covered on Valentine's before. But I'm glad that it was served up to us. Speaking about serving up, we need to pick a movie for next time. Chad, you got me?
Yeah, this is going to be a fun transition because it is a special time of year for movies when the most prestigious awards that don't go to these types of movies take place. It is Oscar season, and with that, we have 3 movies nominated for an Academy Award. So, option number 1, we have The Hours from 2002. Story of how the novel Mrs. Dalloway affects 3 generations of women, all of whom, in one way or another, have had to deal with suicide in their lives. Option number 2, A Single Man from 2009. An English professor, 1 year after the sudden death of his boyfriend, is unable to cope with his typical days in 1960s Los Angeles. Or option 3, Fried Green Tomatoes from 1991. Evelyn, an ordinary housewife, visits a nursing home and befriends the old lady Ninny. Together, they bond over stories from the past about 2 intrepid women of Whistle Stop Cafe. Dustin, what are we going to watch?
Oscar season, and these descriptions don't really pull me in any direction. But one of these I've heard of before, and one of these has a larger cultural impact, and I'm going to choose Fried Green Tomatoes here.
I've never seen it.
This one people generally really like. Like people know it, and people have it on their Mount Rushmores, for instance. So it's got to have something to it, and we'll see what that is. Well, it was another sexy Valentine's Day with your 3 love bugs, and we're so glad you joined us again. Chad, thank you.
Thank you for just allowing me to be an idiot multiple times.
Lizzie, thank you too.
Yes, thanks for having me. This was fun.
And thank you, all the lords, ladies, and knights of the Retro Movie Roundtable. We invite you to reach out to us. We want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us a like on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at movie_retro. Email us at retromovieroundtable@yahoo.com. Producing and providing this podcast is fun, but not free. We invite you to support the show at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/retro movie roundtable. Any contribution is much appreciated and will go towards making the show better for you, the listeners. As always, thank you for listening. Be good to each other and watch more movies. Chad?
Nobody trusts anybody now.